Welcome everyone. Congratulations, newly admitted Spartans. We're excited to have you here for our Spartan and Future Spartan student panel. So we are going to have questions that are going to be prompted to our students who will then be responding at the very end. If we have some time, we'll be answering some of the questions that you have for us all. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome to Admitted Spartan Days 2022. Congratulations for all of you that have been provisionally admitted. We've been having a wonderful time getting to know you, and we look forward to the next week as we get to answer more of your questions and guide you on your journey to start with us in the fall. Please continue to check our Admitted Spartan Days website for any updates. And just as a quick reminder, we will have recordings available on that same website about 2 to 3 business days after the webinar that has passed. We are dedicated to making sure that you get all the information that you need. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Nicole. I'll be your host today for our Spartan and Future Spartan panel. I am the Welcome Center Coordinator and Admissions Counselor here at San Jose State University. I did receive my bachelor's degree here from SJSU in 2020 with a degree in Global Studies, and I am originally from Santa Paula, California. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our student ambassador, which is going to be Allison.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison. I'm the Student Ambassador Lead. I'm also a graduating senior communication studies major with a minor in sociology. I grew up in a really small town in Northern California near Placerville. Next, we have.
Hi, my name is Chris. I actually graduated from San Jose State in 2020 with a degree in journalism. I like San Jose State enough that I am back for my graduate degree in public administration. I'm a student ambassador here at San Jose State.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan. I'm a student ambassador here at San Jose State University. I'm currently studying interdisciplinary studies, which is basically a creation of my own degree path. It's a combination of graphic design and business marketing. I grew up in San Jose, California, so I am from the Bay Area. And yeah, this is my junior year at San Jose State.
Awesome. Thank you. And lastly, we have Melissa.
Hi everyone, my name is Melissa. I'm a communicative disorders and sciences major. I'm a second year at San Jose State and I'm from Modesto, California.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. We'll get to know you a little bit more. And to start off, this format of our student panel is going to be based in different topics and categories. And so our first category is going to be what the transition has been like to San Jose State University. And so let's see. So my first question is going to go to Allison. So Allison, can you tell me what is orientation and what was your orientation like?
Yeah, so I actually had the benefit of being able to attend my orientation session in person, which is the modality that we are transitioning back to this summer. Super excited about that. Orientation is really just a time for you to get acclimated to SJSU. You'll have a designated time to be able to speak with any advisors. For freshmen, this will be the day that you register for your classes, so it'll be really helpful to have them there alongside you for that process. You also learn about different campus resources and meet your peers. I know safety is always a big concern, so we are going to make sure we're following all the public and county health guidelines. All of our guests attending orientation are required to be fully vaccinated and boosted, same with all of our students and staff here, just making sure we're all following the COVID-19 vaccination policy. I know we've getting some questions about freshmen staying overnight. We are expecting our freshmen to be able to stay overnight. It's super fun to be able to have that more social aspect. We are most likely going to have you stay with 1 or 2 roommates, but that's still being finalized. If you do have any other questions about orientation, I'd highly recommend reaching out to the new Student and Family Programs Department. They're super approachable. We'll get back to you very quickly.
Yeah, and additionally, they also have a webinar coming up soon, which we'll talk about at the end of our webinar as well. So thank you, Allison, for that. That's a lot of insightful information and very important for our new students coming in. My next question is going to be toward Chris. So Chris, can you tell me how was your transition to SJSU from your previous school?
Yeah, so I actually transferred to San Jose State, and I think that kind of helped me transition into like the 4-year university itself. In terms of the transition though, from high school into college, it's a big difference in terms of like the scheduling and how you go about your day. In high school, you kind of just like show up, and for my high school at least, you show up and they kind of like lock you in and you're kind of just there for the day. You're there from like 9 to 5, basically just working at school. And when you go to college, it's completely different in the sense that you make your own schedule. You get to decide, okay, I work better in the morning for courses. Let me put my courses in the morning. Or, hey, I want to sleep in more. So let me put my courses towards the end of the day too as well. So I think the transition for college for me was like a freedom of I can take courses when I want. And that allowed me to have a lot more success because I kind of could figure out when I worked best throughout the day.
Awesome. Thank you for that insight. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of different experiences. And I would also like to hear from Morgan, who may have a little bit more of a different experience. So, Morgan, can you tell me how your transition to SJSU has been from your previous school?
Yeah, of course. So in addition to what Chris was talking about it being super flexible, for me, I feel like my transition was pretty smooth. Just for me, I had a lot of support, and for a lot of other students, there's a lot of support in terms of transferring from a community college. And in my case, I did come from a local community college. So coming from a different local community college, we had really strong connections to San Jose State University through the pre-admissions counselors. And so they were able to help really give us an adjustment period and help us along the path to becoming a transfer at San Jose State. And so in general, I just feel like it was kind of hectic, but overall it was a really smooth transition, and it was much less stressful than I had originally anticipated.
Yeah, awesome. So you've gone through it. You have a lot of insight. So thank you for sharing that with our students. Our next topic is going to go into academic life. So I'm sure some of you are curious in what our academics look like. And so this question is going to be geared toward Melissa. So Melissa, can you tell me what should I expect on my first day of school? And do you have any tips on how I can prepare?
Yeah, so I was very lost my first day of school, not going to lie. And I started off in a weird time where we had hybrid courses. So a lot of my courses were online and in person at the same time. So one of the first things that I did was look over the course syllabus for every class and write down the different class dates in my calendar, along with the assignment due dates, which was very helpful to kind of get an overview of the semester. My next piece of advice would be, as classes are transitioning in person, to kind of explore campus for yourself before like the first day, just so you're able to pinpoint where all of your classes are and you're not sitting in the wrong class for 10 minutes and then you realize that it's the wrong class after. So I personally am a visual person, so I like to write everything down and print all of my syllabus papers for every course. And then another thing is to get your books either ahead of time if the professor specifies, or wait the week of when you have classes. And we also have the Spartan bookstore, the SJSU bookstore, available on campus. So you're able to conveniently just walk over and check out any books that you may have.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that insight. I think a lot of people have different first day experiences, and you definitely touched on a lot of those. The next question is going to be to Allison. So Allison, can you tell me how our class is going to be offered in fall of 2020, and are we going to have any regulations?
Yeah, so if any of you were able to attend the welcome session last Saturday, I was super excited to hear Vice President Patrick Day share that we are going to have 70 to 75% of our classes go back to in-person or hybrid. For those of you who aren't familiar, the hybrid modality is, say, if the class is twice a week, you'll go once a week in person and the once a week online. So it really provides a lot of flexibility there. We're still going to have about 25% of our classes be entirely online for those who are, more comfortable with that modality. But really excited that we're kind of approaching, getting back to normal. That being said, as of right now, we're still requiring masks in all of our indoor spaces. Another really great announcement for fall 22 is that the students will be receiving their financial aid award letters by this weekend via their MySJSU. So that's another, something to look forward to there.
Exactly. Thank you, Allison. So continue checking your MySJSU account for those financial aid awards, because that's very important. We're going to go ahead and go into our next topic, which is going to be about campus life. So some of you may have questions about how active is it on campus. So first question is going to be geared toward Chris. Chris, can you tell me what kind of student clubs or organizations are you involved in, and what kind of activities do you do, and do you have any advice about joining them?
Yeah, so one thing that's nice about San Jose State is we do have over 350 clubs and organizations. So there are a lot of options to pick from. The one that I was involved in for my undergrad was the Spartan Daily, which more so falls in line with the student paper, so an organization on campus. For that, it was a big mix of kind of social life and this professional experience. The paper does operate kind of like as its own entity, so we do kind of get that hands-on experience working in a professional environment. But you also do get the social aspect. You're in the newsroom, you're around people that all kind of have the same interests as you. And that's with every club and organization on campus is you surround yourself with people that have the same interests as you. Now, as a graduate student, I am starting to make my own club with a few people that I know. And like the process for that isn't too bad either. You just need 5 students and then 1 professor that kind of works as your advisor. And through that, you get your own club and organization. So if you go through the 350 and you were like, oh, well, I want to make my own too as well, it's not too difficult. It took me about 2 weeks to get it started. So it's very quick for me to get that new club going. If I do want to get something going, it's fun because I know the people I'm with, and it also looks good on my resume too, because I get to put that I'm a vice president of a club, a president of a club, or kind of follow in line with that too as well.
Yeah, most definitely get involved and put something on your resume. Awesome. Melissa, I know you have some sort of a similar but also different experience. So can you also tell me what kind of student clubs and organizations are you involved in, as well as different activities that you do and what advice you have about joining them?
Yeah, so I'm actually a part of quite a few of them. But 3 academic clubs that I'm a part of are the Promise Group. That is the first. So the Promise Group, I actually found it on Instagram. It's very helpful to follow all of our SJSU platforms online because you will always be informed. Yeah, but the Promise Group is basically a club in the Department of Education where students gather together to have different workshops about being a first-gen student, about financial aid, covering your finances, anything that you could think of. And on top of that, you get to network with other students in the department. So you could be studying with that person that you got to paint with last week. So that's a really cool part of joining a club at SJSU. Another club I'm a part of is NISHLA, which is the National Speech and Hearing Association. So I am wanting to be a speech therapy major. So that club is very helpful to just get to network with different speech therapy professionals in that department there. And then lastly, the club that I'm a part of is SJSU Trio. So that is a club for first generation college students where they're able to apply and meet with a counselor to answer any questions that they might have about college, specifically college courses, taking credits, or just any questions that you have about grad school and graduating in general.
Awesome. A lot of good insight, both professionally and personally. I really appreciate that insight to the both of you. The next question is going to be, let's see, geared toward Chris again. So Chris, can you tell me, do you live on campus, at home, or in your own off-campus house or apartment? What are the pros and cons of each?
Yeah, so I right now I live off campus as a graduate student, and for the 2 years that I was a undergrad student at San Jose State, I did live on campus, so I can kind of touch on that a little bit. I did live in Campus Village B, so it's like the big one with the clock tower. That's more so where I had stayed. It's for like sophomores up, so we did have, I did have sophomores in a room, juniors, seniors. So it was a mix of roommates that I did have. It was like an apartment style living, so we had our own kitchen, our own bathroom, a little living space, and our own rooms too as well. So you kind of just like shut the door and turn things off as well. It was really nice because it was right on campus. So if I had a class at 8, I'm not waking up until like 7:40, and then I get there at 8, fine, because I could just walk down the hall, basically walk downstairs and get right to class too as well. So there was the ease of that, the ease of being able to go to downtown, like all the restaurants, all the theaters and stuff right from downtown too as well. It just made it really easy. So I never really had to use my car or anything like that too. It was also nice to kind of have that college experience of, I come home and I have these roommates here, and I got to kind of have this social interaction of people I don't really know, but get to know them too as well. And I had different roommates almost every semester. So it was nice to kind of get to know a different people every time too as well.
Awesome. Great insight. I also want to hear a little bit about Morgan's experience. So Morgan, can you tell me if you live on or off campus, in a house, apartment, and what are the pros and cons of each?
Sure. So for me, I'm actually kind of privileged to have experienced both. Because I grew up in San Jose, I was able to live with a family member, my uncle. He owns his house here in San Jose. And so I was living there for the first while as I was getting through the transfer process. And so I feel like that was pretty nice. Overall, there were a few distractions. And then after that, I ended up moving into a house with other roommates. And in that experience, I felt there was way more distractions. Personally, I like to study in a more solitary environment with a little bit more of a quiet setting or with headphones. And so being around so many people, we had like 5 or 6 roommates at any given time. And so there was always something going on, always someone in the kitchen or always somebody having a conversation. And so in the common rooms, I feel like for me, it was always really distracting. And eventually ended up moving out into my own place. I'm currently in my own place now, and I feel like that is the best situation for me. It just fits really well with my own lifestyle. And so I definitely encourage, like what Chris was saying, there are a lot of benefits to living on campus, but it just really depends on you as a student and what fits your own lifestyle.
Awesome, exactly. And you develop that and learn that as you go out through your college journey, living either in person, living in the dorms or off campus. So great insight to the both of you. Thank you for sharing. Our next question and topic is going to be about social life. So I'm sure some of you want to know, what is there to do on or off campus? So we're going to go ahead and get into that. Our first question is going to go to Melissa. So Melissa, can you tell me, what do you do for fun on or around campus?
Yeah, so being in the city of San Jose, especially downtown, there's always something to do. Just recently, we actually had Bad Bunny and Justin Bieber perform at the SAP Center. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of concerts to attend, and we specifically have the San Pedro Square Market, a couple blocks from campus. So that's a really nice place where you can go have dinner with friends and just kind of hang out, take a stroll around. My personal favorite thing is using the Clipper card on campus. So a Clipper card is a $3 card that you buy, and you're actually able to use transportation services around San Jose, either for free or at a discounted rate for students. So for example, I was actually able to go to a Sharks game provided by the campus also, where they actually offer discounted tickets for students. So I was able to snatch one and yeah, just take a ride to the SAP Center by using the VTA bus and using the Clipper card also. So yeah, and then a lot of things to do are include like going to the beach at Santa Cruz or just exploring San Francisco. So all of those places are really close. So you'll never get bored, that's for sure.
Awesome. And Melissa, you just joined us recently, so you already have a lot of these experiences, which is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go ahead and ask Chris, you have a little bit more of experience or time here in San Jose. So can you tell me, what do you do for fun on or around campus?
Yeah, so in terms of like stuff that I like to do on campus is the gym itself, the Spartan Recreation and Aquatic Center, which is hard to say, is going to be like the new gym that we have. Before I came to San Jose State, I did not work out. And more so that I spend almost about 2 hours a day there. More so just working out itself, just have the pool, the different gym and stuff like that too as well. There's a lot of events that happen on campus. We have like a night market, we have Fire in the Fountain, which is like our homecoming night. So we have like the lawn area with the fountain itself. We make it into a flamethrower and have anything like fire related there too as well. So those are events that you see. We'll have like different companies come and have different types of events too as well. So we had Twitch come and put on like a Super Smash Bros tournament, which was a lot of fun, which was like a $10,000 pot, which lasted like 6 hours. So you have those type of events that happen too on campus as well. We have a lot of things just kind of come to us, like where it's like, oh, this event's happening at this night, or this event's happening at this place on campus, and not to mention everything going on in downtown San Jose too as well. So there's just always something to do. If you just kind of look online real fast to see what's happening in the area, it's really fast and easy to kind of find something to do in such a busy area.
Yeah, definitely. We are in the heart of the downtown, so there is a lot to do. Thank you both for sharing that experience that you've both had. Our next topic is going to be about paying for college. So I want to hear about all of your experiences. The first question is going to go to Melissa. So Melissa, actually it's going to go to Morgan. So Morgan, can you tell me, are you working while you're in college? Is your job on or off campus? And what are the benefits or drawbacks of working while in school?
Yeah, so for me personally, I've actually worked through most of my college career. There are some times where I've even had multiple jobs while still going to school full time. In this specific case, when I was in the middle of transfer, I was still working for my previous job with Visa as a brand ambassador and a venue operations manager for the Olympics. I did get to live in Japan, but during the same time that I was living in Japan, I was in the middle of my onboarding for my student ambassador training for this job here. And I was still at the same time finishing up my degree from my community college and transferring and applying and getting in all my classes for San Jose State. So it's definitely a lot more hectic. I would say that some of the drawbacks would come if you're not good at time management. It can be really confusing and you can end up trying to juggle too many and end up dropping some other responsibilities or even your own like personal health. And that's never something we want to encourage or even like recommend. It's just your health should always come first. But I would say in my case, there were a lot of benefits that came with it. I think being a student is a pretty underrated, like free pass. You can really use the fact that you are a student and get into a lot of companies and get access to a lot of different places and job opportunities that you would otherwise find off limits. So for me, I was able to shadow through that company. And then after meeting me, that's when they offered me the opportunity to work with them. And I feel like people should really take advantage of that, especially students and newer freshmen, because that's in the Silicon Valley, a big thing is connections.
Exactly. Morgan is a amazing example of taking advantage of what you have and going with that. So definitely learning how to network is something you can get out of working while in school and being a student. Melissa, I'd like to hear a little bit about your experience. So are you working while you're in college? Is your job on or off campus? And what are the benefits of benefits or drawbacks of working while in school?
Yeah, so I currently do work on campus as a student ambassador. And one of the benefits of it is that working on campus, you will have a very flexible schedule because they will work with all of your classes and any club meetings that you may have, which has been one of the huge benefits of working on campus that you probably not find off campus. Another huge benefit is getting to meet different students. So I've met so many people from different majors, from similar majors that I can just connect with and kind of relate with. And one of the biggest things that is important is really being informed on what's going on campus and being informed on not only the events, but also the resources that San Jose State has to offer. For instance, San Jose State offers book vouchers, which I was recently informed about by a coworker. And yeah, so then there's a lot of fun events that go on campus, like movie nights and vendor nights for students. And then yeah, so that's one of the huge benefits of just working on campus. And then also it helps pay off all of my campus and tuition fees. So I would say it benefits me in a lot of ways.
Exactly. There's a lot of pros and cons working on campus, and you do learn a lot also being with all of your peers that teach you about different things that they may have experienced as well. So great insight on that. And the next question is going to be a question for Allison. So Allison, can you tell me, how did you handle your financial responsibility of college, and what advice do you have for talking to college admissions or financial aid offices?
Yeah, so I definitely understand that the financial aspect of college can be daunting. To be honest, that was one of the biggest, sort of hurdles that I had to overcome when I was kind of deciding if I wanted to come to San Jose. But I've been financially independent as a student since I was about 16. So I had a little bit of experience in terms of supporting myself and working. And honestly, San Jose is a fairly affordable public university for what it offers as well. In terms of financial responsibility, I've worked all through, college. It might seem like it's a lot to handle, but honestly, it's definitely very possible to be able to work through college and still, have time for clubs and organizations and, social life. And of course, your academics. It's just about that time management piece that you'll hear us all talk about throughout today. I live and breathe by my Google Calendar. It has everything I do on it. And that's why I'm able to kind of juggle so many hats in that sense. Like I said, I know it can be daunting. I would definitely recommend applying for, different financial aid opportunities. I honestly am here to say, if you're facing this challenge of, having to put yourself through college, if I can do it, you can do it. Honestly, it's so possible to still get a lot out of your college experience, even if it's all you putting yourself through it. In terms of talking to all these different staff members around campus, whether it be admissions or financial aid or housing or any of these different departments, just keep in mind that they are here to support you, whether it's, academically or in, supplemental to that. It's so like their entire purpose is here to support you. That's their goal. So I wouldn't be, as intimidated to talk to them. And I know that was something that, while I may have been told that before I went and talked to them, I was still super nervous. What helped me going through these different conversations was to write down my questions beforehand. That way, if I did, get a little intimidated speaking to these individuals, I had all my questions laid out. So I was still getting everything I needed to be clarified, answered. Like I said, they're here to support you. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. They also are more accessible. They also are equally as accessible over like email or live chat a lot of times too, if you are not the biggest fan of that kind of face-to-face conversation. But yeah, there are so many different offices. One of the biggest support services I recommend in terms of financial aid is the financial aid counselors. I didn't know they had specific counselors in that department till I was a sophomore, but they have individuals who can sit down with you if you have a lot of questions in a more private environment. That way you're not, in the waiting room and everything in that sense. So definitely reach out and ask about what services are available for you.
Yeah, great advice. And I think all of our student ambassadors do a great job in reaching out to the resources that they have on campus, and it goes a long way. So definitely push yourself to go out there and ask those questions. Thank you, Allison, for that insight. The next topic we're going to go into is going to be what you wish you had known. So I'm going to ask each of you a question, and then at the end, we're going to do sort of a lightning round. So the first question is going to go to Melissa. So Melissa, can you tell me what challenges have you faced in college and how did you get through them?
Yeah, so I am a first generation college student from a really, really small town. So transitioning to the city life was definitely a huge change in transitioning to college overall. But I would say that the resources that have helped me the most were meeting with advisors, specifically the Student Success Center for my department. They're the ones that helped guide me through where to start in my enrolling for classes and just making sure that I'm on the right track to graduate. And then another thing was just navigating college overall. And I have to apply to grad school. I want to apply to grad school. So I tried to get as much advice as possible from professors. So meeting with them during their office hours, and then just being able to relate to other people who were first generation college students going through the same things. But I think in college, that's the biggest difference, is that you don't have to go through those questions and those struggles alone. You are able to reach out to other people to find those resources for yourself, and not only questions about your classes, but questions about financial aid, questions about additional support for studying, and questions about how to apply for grad school if that's something you're interested in.
Great insight, Melissa. I really appreciate you sharing those experiences. And something to also keep in mind is that all of our student ambassadors have these experiences, as well as our upper division students. So just finding that mentor, maybe a peer mentor or another mentor, will go a long way. Thank you, Melissa, for that. So this next question is going to be geared toward Morgan. So Morgan, can you tell me, what do you wish you had known before college about accessing support services?
Yeah. So for me, it kind of ties into a little bit of where Melissa left off when she mentioned questions about financial aid. So I think personally, I spent a lot of time and money in my beginning of my college career not thinking that I would be eligible for financial aid. And so I just kind of told myself that, and I never really tried to apply. I found out after the first year and a half that I actually did have a lot of support out there for me. All I had to do was pretty much sign up. And so I wish that if I had known one thing, it was that it doesn't hurt to try, and that the sooner you try, the sooner you might find that you fit into a specific support group, or you have a lot of financial aid that can assist you in your college education. And so just encouraging others to do the same thing that I missed out on, I think, is a big thing. It can not only help you balance your own life, but it can help you balance your school, work, and your personal time without having to spend so much time just working in order to support yourself. And so there's also a lot of variety in those programs. So for example, I'm in GSP and EOP, which is the Guardian Scholars Program and the Educational Opportunities Program. And so there's a lot of different variety out there. So don't limit yourself to just one, and go for it. Just try it out.
Exactly. Great insight, Morgan. I really appreciate that. We're going to go ahead and go to our next section, which is going to be for Allison. So Allison, can you tell me, what do you wish you had known before college about choosing a major?
Yeah, so I actually did change my major my freshman year. I honestly, in high school, had never heard of communication studies and did not know it was something I could study. And then going into, my freshman year, I did change it in the spring. Changing your major is going to be different no matter what depending on like what major you're interested in changing, they will tell you, disclaimer, it's not a guarantee that you'll have the opportunity to change your major. You were admitted for the major that you were admitted for, based on our impaction. However, there is a process. You can look into the requirements and everything if you are super passionate about changing your major to a different one. First thing, you will not be able to even try to change your major until after your first semester here. You do need an SJSU GPA to change your major at all. Some majors are easy to change into. I just had to sign my name on a paper. Others will ask you to take certain classes, get a certain GPA, for example. All of this can be communicated to you by the advisors of that major or that college that you're trying to switch into. If you are, an incoming student for the summer, I would definitely recommend checking out or speaking to your advisors at your orientation this summer. They will be able to kind of help you adjust your schedule, especially if you're a freshman student. That way you're able to enroll in classes that will still be beneficial and productive to you no matter what. Worst case scenario, they can always just put you in different general education classes that will be productive for you no matter what major you end up continuing with. But yeah, definitely speak to your advisors as soon as possible if you are very passionate about changing your major. There's the process entirely depends on what it is. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking to your advisors also about what to do after college. So that's also a helpful insight as well. Allison explained it very well. I think she touched on a lot of different topics. A lot of people are interested in changing majors. So thank you for sharing that and providing that information for us. This next question is going to be for everyone. And so I would like everyone to answer this question. So what is one last piece of advice for our new students? Chris, can you start us off?
Yeah, so I would say big advice I would like to give is that, you're coming to college for your major and everybody wants to graduate and make a lot of money too as well, but you're going to be here for an education. So really try to expand on what you learn, take courses that you might not be comfortable with, listen to opinions that might not be your own, and just kind of grow fully as somebody that is getting an education in a college rather than just trying to get out and get a job right after.
Awesome. I would like to hear a little bit from Melissa. So Melissa, what is one last piece of advice for our new students?
So my last piece of advice would be don't be afraid or discouraged to apply for something, even when you think you're not qualified enough. There are so many opportunities that I received that I definitely thought I'm not qualified enough for this, but in the end, it all worked out. So.
Exactly. You are qualified for it. Every one of you are qualified for everything. Morgan, I'd like to hear a little bit about your answer. So what is one last piece of advice for our new students?
Sure. It's kind of similar to Melissa's, but I would say school is a place full of opportunities, whether it's a scholarship or a job opportunity. And I recommend that you take advantage of them while you're a student, since they can open all sorts of doors for your future. And might not just be for your future in general. It could be a future career or just a future path that you never really thought possible. So yeah, take advantage of it.
Exactly. All of us agree on the same thing. Allison, can we hear about your experience and what is one last piece of advice that you have for our new students?
Yeah, so I'd say my big piece of advice for incoming students would be to know your limits. It's really important to have, that kind of school and fun balance. Make the most of your college experience. There's so many fun things to do, not only on campus, but in San Jose. And like I said, it's so possible to be able to maintain your academics and put your classes first and still have time to go have all these new experiences in college. San Jose is such a fun place to live, but at the end of the day, you know your own limits, you know how much you can handle more than anyone else, but just make the most of your time here.
Work-life balance is key, and Allison is a wonderful testament on how to achieve that. So thank you all for your insight and your experiences here. We're going to go ahead and open this up to our live question and answer. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the chat, and I want to see what kind of questions you all have for our student ambassadors. So take time right now to chat some questions into our Q&A chat, and then we'll be able to answer them aloud within the last about 5 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. So stick around because we do have a few other announcements at the end of our live Q&A. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our Q&A chat. Let's see. All right, so one of the questions is, what is the best and most effective way to apply for scholarship opportunities? So I'll open this up to any of the student ambassadors that have experience for this.
Sure, I can say a little bit about it. So first of all, we do list like a lot of our scholarship opportunities online, especially for our general scholarships, but there are certain program related scholarships that might be available to certain students like in a specific major. And those you can find on the major's homepage. So those ones are going to be a little bit more specialized. But if you're looking for some of those general ones, there's actually like a link through the scholarship homepage where it can show you all of the ones that would like be recommended or pertain to you as a student. And you can go through and pretty much just fill in all of your answers for each scholarship application or variant and then hit submit. I will say that there are some general applications like the FAFSA or like the EOPS application, and those are just kind of general programs. So those can give you a good basis to start if you're looking to actually go into a financial aid program in the future. If anyone wants to add anything else, please feel free.
I think you covered it perfectly. Thank you, Morgan. I appreciate it. So the next question I'm going to ask live is, do you have to have a roommate in housing, or is it possible to have your own apartment? So does anybody have this answer for us?
Yeah, so it definitely depends on what style of building you're looking at and also what year you are. For incoming freshmen, one of the main buildings that offers a single bedroom is Joe West. All of the different styles of rooms and the different buildings will have their own price fluctuations. So I would definitely recommend checking out the housing website to see how, having 1 or 2 or 0 roommates would affect that. That being said, if you are, going to have a random roommate, I definitely would say it's not as intimidating as it sounds. I had a random roommate my freshman year and I was terrified because I, am an only child and never had to share my room. And I was so intimidated by that, but she ended up being one of my best friends still to this day. And if you don't get quite as lucky as I did, there is a roommate swap process that will be accessible to you 2 weeks after move-in. This can also be an opportunity for you if you thought you could, or if you maybe are living in one dorm and then decided you prefer to move into a different one for whatever reason. There is an opportunity for you to potentially swap rooms, swap buildings, anything of that sort. It's again not going to be a guarantee, but there is that sort of safety net for you there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Great insight. This next question is actually going to be to Melissa. So Melissa, it says, is any host speech pathology major? If so, oh wait, you're not in speech pathology, but do you have any insight on speech pathology?
I actually am in speech pathology.
Okay, you are. Okay. I thought it was communication disorders. Okay. Is that the thing?
There are a lot of different names for it, but
okay.
You have to obtain a bachelor's in communicative disorders and sciences or communication disorders. And then from there on, you move on to the master's program. So I would say that the bachelor's program here at San Jose State is a great program. All of our professors are very friendly, very welcoming. They have a lot of different research opportunities on campus. Also, I personally am looking into one, working with bilingual students. And we actually also have a fully functioning audiology clinic and a speech therapy clinic on campus. So that's a huge opportunity and advantage for our students to explore and get to experience. So yeah, we have a really great program.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. About 2 more questions. So the next question is going to be, did any of the people on the panel take a car their freshman year or use a Clipper card?
For the first half, just for the car aspect, I did bring a car my freshman year. They'll tell you, you don't need a car your freshman year necessarily. I personally took a car because I had an off-campus job already lined up and I'm absolutely emotionally attached to my car and I could not move anywhere without it. Parking passes are available for housing residents, even if you're a freshman, so you're able to purchase that should you want to bring your car. That being said, there's a lot of public transit opportunities. I know some of the other panelists have had more experience with the Clipper card if you want to share that.
Melissa, would you like to talk on that? I know you answered a little bit in.
Yeah. I am still new to San Jose, but one of the most convenient things that I have found is if you put it in a Google Maps or whatever you prefer, all of the VTA, like the buses and all of the stops will come up. So it's super convenient if you want to go to Target, if you want to go to the store, and you're a freshman living on campus, and that's your transportation, that's your golden ticket to get pretty much anywhere you want in the city. So
awesome. Thank you. I think that that's good insight because I never knew how to use public transportation and I had to figure it out. And it's actually a lot easier than I had thought. So I appreciate you talking on that. One of our last questions is, are there any resources available for homeless students who choose to sleep in their car or vehicles rather than get loans for housing? So this is a big one. Would anybody like to talk about some of the resources we have on campus?
So I can say just like a little bit. I personally don't know of anything that like has to deal with specifically living in your car rather than wanting to live in like in the housing unit. But I do know that there is financial aid available or financial assistance available. Like if you wanted, or if you're having problems with like finding housing or affordable housing that fits in your budget, I know that there is financial assistance that helps with that. And like Deanna mentioned, I think CSU Cares is also another really good resource to look into in terms of like financial assistance or like housing assistance in general. Does anyone else want to touch on that?
Yeah, SJSU Cares does a lot of good for our students who might be going through a tough time or need a little bit extra support. They actually do provide temporary housing for students that need it. They have a whole intake process, so you do have to kind of speak to them about your situation a little bit and give them some context so that they can figure out how they can best support you. But they are known to provide temporary housing solutions both on and off campus at times for students. This is the same department that also runs our Spartan Food Pantry, which is another great service. I know the question is more about housing and security, but food and security is often hand in hand with that. So our Spartan Food Pantry allows students to pick up free groceries once a week. It's super helpful. They have, not just like canned goods and things like that. They have fresh protein and fresh produce and, dairy products and all these like things that, would definitely add up at the grocery store, but you can get completely for free just in our student union. So yeah, definitely a very great department there. I'd look into their resources.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I appreciate all of your insight. One of the last questions that I think is going to be really helpful, we might have a lot of transfer students here. So I'd like to ask one of our transfer students, how can you get involved? Is it easy to get involved and to meet new people on campus coming in as a transfer student?
I would say that, getting involved as a transfer student is really up to finding a club, finding an organization, finding something that really kind of puts you in to a group of people that you know. For me, it was the paper. Once I started writing for the paper, I had plenty of friends. Like it was fine. I could pick anybody I wanted to go to hang out with. It was just kind of like this big family you get like adopted into. And that's more so what every club is going to feel like. You find people that have the same interests, that have the same kind of availability as you two as well. And you just make those connections. So for me, I had no trouble fitting into San Jose State when I transferred in.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I appreciate every single one of your stories, your input, and your advice that you've given our future Spartans that hopefully will join us in the fall. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'd like to have a few different reminders for our students that are joining us currently. Follow us on our Instagram, which is going to be Future Spartans, or our main SJSU Instagram account. We have a lot of updates, reminders, our own personal experiences, and just helpful tips that we add onto our social media websites. You can also follow us on TikTok, and then you can also email us at admittedspartandays@sjsu.edu. Stay tuned for some of our upcoming programming. So a lot of you have questions about orientation. Check out our orientation panel that's going to be right after this at 6 p.m. Followed by that, we also have our financial aid webinar. So make sure that you're registering for that and attending those. I know you all have questions about it, so make sure that you're registering and attending those webinars. Tomorrow, we're going to have information on our club sports as well as a bunch of other things. So on our website, it's going to give you all of the times that we have different webinars. I know some of you are interested in what kind of club sports we have on campus. Living on campus, so San Jose State University housing, they're going to have another webinar at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Followed by that, we're going to have on the 13th, the Accessible Education Center. It is not limited to only these ones that are on this slide, but these are some that I handpicked that might be of interest to you all. We have Peer Connections, which is going to have a student panel at 4 p.m. on the 13th as well. Study Abroad is going to be on the 14th at 5 p.m. and the Spartan Eastside Promise is going to be at 6 p.m. on the 14th as well. So making sure that you're going onto our website one more time and registering for each of those webinars. They're very helpful. We're here to answer any of the questions you have, and I know you all have a lot of these questions. We also have our next steps. So if you've been provisionally admitted to San Jose State, congratulations. We want to help you. So come to our next steps presentations, learn about your intent to enroll. We highly recommend you attend some of these next steps presentations. We have it on the 15th, 2 to 3 p.m., as well as 11 to 12 p.m. for our transfer session. During this workshop, our admissions counselors will assist you through completing the next steps process by May 1st, which is our deadline. Answer any questions that you might have regarding your journey and becoming a Spartan. With that being said, congratulations once again. Thank you to our student panelists, and we hope to see you all here in the fall. And with that being said, check out some of our additional webinars at sjsu.edu/admitted Spartan days. Thank you once again. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.